I've always said when it comes to the culture war, I'm not interested in it. It's a fool's errand. It's a fool's errand to try and get involved in a culture war. It is just downright ridiculous from start to finish. Trying to engage in it is nonsense. It always ends up making for bad policy, preceded by bad rhetoric, basically. And we've seen that in America. But why, for example, did the culture wars get pushed so much? And predominantly, it is because traditionally you get class warfare. Now, class warfare is always, it's the haves and the haves not. And there are always more without than there are with those. But it's always sort of, the working class versus, the upper class. That is the type of thing that happens because more and more people live that reality than this upper class fancy lifestyle. And there is nothing being more exemplary of this fact recently that's happened in America, where you recently saw the CEO of a big healthcare company, be assassinated. And as far as we know, it definitely wasn't assassinated. Now, they haven't caught the guy yet, but I think it's only a matter of time. I will be very surprised if they don't end up catching, because I think they've brought in the FBI now to try and sort of do this. But it wouldn't surprise me if you find, or at least we find out that like the FBI and the police basically had absolutely zero to no cooperation from the public, because this guy, since this whole thing happened, has had no sympathy whatsoever. And it is because the American healthcare system is just such a god-awful mess. And honestly, we in the UK are so lucky. So lucky that we have the NHS. So lucky. And I've often seen things from America, like hospital bills and things like that, that terrify me. Just, the amount of money involved. And then what happens if your insurance gets denied or, something like that? It's terrifying. It's terrifying to think that system exists. But for pretty much all the Americans, that is their reality. That is their lived reality. That is what they live from day to day. And this is why the culture wars are dying off. Because you can go on about, trans people as much as you like, but here's the thing. Your average American doesn't meet, a trans person day to day. It's very, very unlikely that they ever will. Like on a day to day, unless they absolutely know someone. They've never ever encountered these scenarios that like the culture war warriors make up about these people. It's always like an extreme, specific, very, tangible, probably made up edge case, and that they're trying to sell it. But they've been trying to sort of push this now for almost well over a decade. And even in America, we are seeing the electoral results of this come down. So they're not even applying, working anymore as it used to. So those have just been, on the culture war, they've just had diminishing returns, but they still push as hard as they can for this. And I think there's a fantastic Terry Pratchett quote. If you've never read Going Postal by Terry Pratchett, I would absolutely recommend it. If you've never read Discworld, it's a good starting point. It's a good trilogy to get into. Going Postal, Making Money, and Raising Steam. Very good trilogy to get into with the Terry Pratchett section. But in Going Postal, there's a character called Mr. Lipwig, or Moist von Lipwig, and he's a con artist. And at one point, he gets caught, gets brought back, and one of the characters has a go at him because all he says is, "Oh, but you don't understand. It was just a little con, right?" That's all I did. And another character called Mr. Pump or Pump 19 turns around and says this, and I think this is very, very covers this situation almost perfectly. It's so Mr. Pump turns around and says this. He says, "No, you have not. But you have stolen, you have embezzled, you have defrauded and swindled without discrimination, Mr. Lipvig. You have ruined businesses, you've destroyed jobs. When banks fail, it is seldom bankers who starve. Your actions have now taken money from those who've had little enough to begin with. In a myriad of small ways, you have now hastened the deaths of many. You may not have known them, but you did see them, but you didn't see them bleed. But you snatched bread from their mouths and you tore clothes from their back. For sport, Mr. Lipvig, for sport, for the joy of the game." And that really is probably one of the big moments where Moist realizes sort of the wrong that he's sort of done and committed in doing sort of these cons, and it has, you know, repercussions throughout the books, what he does. But this in particular has not gone well with, of course, the right wing trying to push this narrative that they are trying to push at the moment, particularly for Ben Shapiro. Now, we're not going to watch the video, but what we're going to do is we're going to read the comments, because Ben Shapiro makes this video about this. Oh my god, all these people are laughing at this, you know, healthcare CEO, how terrible they are, how awful they are. Meanwhile, bear in mind, this is Ben Shapiro's channel, so this is like as right wing as you can get. Normally, comments flooded for praise, agreeing with him. Couldn't be more off this time. So instantly, you get someone instantly here unsubbed. Find another audience to play apologist to the people who help made the lives of the working hard Americans more difficult. Someone said, "Saw a lifelong hardworking father become now bankrupt as a result of claims being denied after getting cancer. You are out of touch." Someone else, I think this is the perfect one out of all of these. The comments come up. "They started a culture war so that we could forget about the class war." They're not. That comment's not wrong. That comment is not wrong at all. He had a wife and family. Yeah, bro. So did hundreds of thousands of other people who are now denied healthcare and die. Fact, both the left and right are now cheering. We do not care about your feelings. Remember, guys, Ben has now more in common with that CEO than he has with any of us. Your rich privilege is now showing, Ben. Not not that good anymore at keeping now the working class divided and angry at each other. Don't say you are pro-life and then side with health insurance companies. Oof. And it just keeps on getting worse from here. No one is buying this Ben Shapiro thing. Like, you know, unsubscribed. You just want to keep us divided. That CEO was a greed criminal. Someone else here says, "Ben, loyal watcher, but here you've just completely lost. I don't believe you have a soul not to recognize how evil this man was. Both liberal and conservatives now united over this, and you cannot see that because you profiteer over hate. It is just despicable." Well, congratulations, my friend. That is Ben Shapiro been doing that for a long, long time. So maybe this will have a turnaround, but I doubt Ben Shapiro is going to care, because obviously he could basically continue on. But I don't think they're going to talk any more about this story. I have a feeling. I have a feeling, because if you're getting that kind of reaction, and trust me, they do pay attention to the comments, especially sort of that side, they will have seen all that stuff. They ain't going to respond. And if someone does respond, it isn't going to be Ben Shapiro. It'll be one of his little cronies that goes out and responds to this. But yeah, it's just fun to see and watch the realization of probably a lot of those people realizing, hold on a second, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, because that is the lived reality for thousands of Americans. Ben Shapiro has never had to deal with that in his life, never had to experience it. But it's funny to see Ben Shapiro's audience absolutely turn on him for that. And that is incredibly funny. It's an early Christmas gift in almost many ways. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.